If you ask when are we sharing data, the answer is all the time. Um, if you're using a phone to view this media, maybe you're sitting on a train, maybe you're on your bus, maybe you're at home looking at on a tablet or a laptop, uh, you are sharing data with the host of this file. It could be a government organization, it could be the university itself, it could be reposted on YouTube or somewhere else. They have a record that you viewed this file. In addition to the provider of the file, everyone on the path between the device on which you viewed it and the host of that file, whoever created that file, they can see that you requested information from that host. So your local internet service provider, your cellular service provider, the way that works is your device requests the file. It goes to that little socket on the wall or that Wi-Fi access point or the cellular tower that's nearby. But that doesn't magically get you across the world to wherever the file that you're seeking is. There is a path across the internet that must be made to everything that you're seeking to retrieve. The internet is not magic. It is a series of cables buried in the ground. It is satellites in the sky. It is radio towers with cellular radios on them. It is the Wi-Fi access points that are sitting in homes and coffee shops and offices around the world. This is a giant network of many different devices with many different owners and many different operators. But when you send a request that is routed over these other people's networks, the cloud, as we conceive of it, just means other people's computers, right? As you cross this path, other people control it. They can observe these requests and they can record these requests, and they do. It is the business model of the internet to track human operations, human behaviors, human activities, and then to try to transform them into money. Typically through behavioral influence, things like advertising, and then commodifying this data, selling it, reselling it, resharing it. Now, if you take that basic understanding that every time a computer every time a computer performs an activity, it creates a record. And every time a computer requests access to the file over the internet, and computer here again can mean your phone, it's just a digital device of a certain complexity, everybody can see that request being made who has a part in handling that request. They can then record it. This is a little bit like if every time you wanted to leave your house in a car or on the bus, you had to paint your house number, your home address, on the top of the bus or on the top of the car. And then as you drove down streets, every corner that you passed took a picture of that. And they said, oh, this person from this home, from this internet address, is going to this place. Now, this system does not differentiate between adults and between children. Computers in general don't discriminate between people and users. They observe us all maximally because it's an automated process. And so the interesting thing today is if you think about all of our activities, all of the things that we do with devices, just walking down the street without your phone screen being on, but just riding in your pocket, that phone is constantly generating records at service providers around the world in different countries. Even when the screen is, black and powered down, the phone itself is still on, the screen is off. But it has a series of connections called keep alives and things like that that are saying, we might want an update from this weather service. So let's make sure we have that connection up and operational, so the next time you turn your phone on, it's instantly there, it's up to date, it's already requested the most recent information. What this means broadly is that by virtue of just going about our lives connected to these digital devices, we are creating perfect records, or increasingly perfect records, of our most private parts of our lives. And even though we created this data through our activities on devices that we bought and paid for, we can presume to be the owners of them, we do not control them. And this is the fundamental problem, both for adults and especially children. Adults may have at least some vague understanding of these operations, but children very much do not.
This social graph is piecing together who we are close to, where we go, and much, much more. Can you explain a little bit more where children fit into this?
Now, what this means is that from the first moment that we, as the human family and the child's more personal family, conceive that they may have a child, the mother goes to the hospital. She goes through an ultrasound procedure, and she discovers, to her joy, that there is a child in her. They often take a picture of that. They offer it to her. They put it in her medical records. They may send it to other doctors, other specialists through email or something like that, to solicit their opinion. She may go home and share this picture onward with family that doesn't live near her. She may send it to faraway friends. Well, this digital picture is sent through the internet through, for example, the email medium. Email is unencrypted. Email is insecure. That means all of those network routes that this picture has to transit through in order to reach its destination, this woman's loved ones, they can see and capture a copy of this picture. They get a copy of this email. For example, half the world is using Gmail, right? Even if she is not a Gmail user, if she emails a Gmail user, Google now has a copy and a record that there is a woman that has a child before this child has even been born. We live now in the environment of observation before we live. And this is why it's so important, I think, to understand how this environment impacts children. Everything that you do online is watched and recorded to a large extent. Everything that children do online is watched and recorded to the same extent. Whether we're talking about commercial systems, whether we're talking about surveillance systems operated by government and law enforcement, when they look at human behavior from the network perspective, they ingest this data on a bulk scale, and this is according to sort of government and industry's own words. Differentiating this kind of data is considered a much larger step in the process. So everything that your child does that interacts with a digital device is likely to create a record, and that record is going to be controlled by parties that are unrelated to that child or that child's family as a matter of current practice, technology, and law. And until we change those dynamics, this is the way it will remain. Well, when we think about the world as it currently is, we are told that there's this grand bargain that we have entered into of free products and services that are very sophisticated. They are universally available, and you can use it right now. Just click OK to continue. Now, when you click OK, you are being bound to 600-page legal agreements that change every 3 weeks, often without notice to the user. As a byproduct of this agreement, we're told that we have consented. What we consented to was saying we wanted to use this service. We didn't consent in a meaningful way to the 600-page legal agreement because we didn't read it, and no one did. And there have been studies done on this that have been shown to indicate there are more legal agreements more pages of legal agreements that a given person consents to in a particular year than they have time to read if they tried to read all these agreements.